So for London Conspiracy to win this game, typically with the Phantom Lancer, you do want to go to the late game, but I actually kind of feel like it's counterintuitive because with an Anti-Mage in the game, he's going to get 6-slotted so quickly, you have to be careful if you're London Conspiracy.
So London Conspiracy, once again, putting themselves in a situation where they want to be able to put the game late as humanly possible, but it's going to be a tough time against the very early tempo-controlling lineup of Ninjas and Pyjamas, combined with
Prepare for battle.
You'd rather just like end the game by about 40-45 minutes once you get 6-slotted ahead of most other heroes. So Ninjas and Pyjamas definitely on a timer here, but it's going to be a lot of pressure put on London Conspiracy. I feel like London Conspiracy have to come out strong in the laning phase, otherwise they're just going to fall apart really quickly against that Queen of Pain.
I actually think that NiP have the better late game lineup because I feel like their supports are a lot more useful in the late game.
Oh,
like you've got a Witch Doctor that can actually scale. For example, if he gets the Aghanim Scepter, like what is it that's going to stop that, right? Like he's got a ton of damage coming out. The Earthshaker is always going to be useful in all phases of the game, as well as the Disruptor with Aghanims, and you've got Queen of Pain and an Anti-Mage's a dual core. Whereas London Conspiracy, like the Darkseer is pretty decent late game. It's just like the longest. You know what? I love that. Like he can go and do that. It's like it's his opportunity, and he's just. I think London Conspiracy is just really happy to be there, and the fact that they're going to do that, it's like not the most professional thing, but who cares? Like it's your opportunity. Go out and shout out to whoever you want.
Yeah, if this was someone like EG who's seen the main stage multiple times, you'd be like, okay, you can do that all the time. But this is the London Conspiracy's one chance to really, like, this is their first chance on the main stage in front of thousands of people watching, and they're pretty amped up about it. Now, I'm a bit surprised that you're really siding with Ninjas and Pyjamas late game so heavily, but London Conspiracy are going to be running an aggro tri-lane, it seems. Ninjas and Pyjamas running an aggro tri-lane of their own, so it's going to be the Earthshaker in his safe lane faced up against the London Conspiracy tri-lane, while we have our bottom lane Skylark on the Darkseer facing up against the Ninjas and Pyjamas tri-lane of the Disruptor, Witch Doctor, and Anti-Mage. Our mid matchup, of course, being the Templar Assassin and the Queen of Pain, which you could already see, the early counter ward being placed down to give the advantage to Limp's Queen of Pain.
Yeah, and I actually think this is going to favor NiP because I think LC wanted to run into the tri-lane of NiP. I think that the Witch Doctor is a decent tri-laner, but the Disruptor and the Anti-Mage don't really provide too much for you, whereas heroes like Crystal Maiden and the Dazzle actually do a whole lot for you, and you're just going to notice as... Are we still calling him Skanks?
Yep.
Alright, so
I had a conversation with him about this. He is definitely, his name is definitely Skanks. He changed it up just a little bit just to include both of his. He used to go by 2 different monikers at a time, which was his 224, S224, and as well as Skanks. So we just kind of threw the S in there to be a part of his name, essentially.
Right. Fair enough. And so this tri-lane at bottom shouldn't be able to kill the Darkseer if he's really careful. And you notice Skylark is playing incredibly defensive. And at top, I mean, they have better ways of getting levels, and actually ganking for them is a ton easier, but there is a ward up here, and they have used both sentries, so they don't really know where things are quite yet. And the Crystal Maiden's trying not to block that camp as they're making a move right now on top.
Yeah, unable to get that Frostbite, unfortunately. The Fissure goes out before Crystal Maiden could get that extra bit of lockdown. Meanwhile, the middle lane, it's actually Dazzle who's trying to put some pressure onto Limp. I guess maybe just giving the Templar Assassin a little bit of an edge to make sure that Quap can't harass Thug out of the lane entirely. But as we said early on, kind of expected the Crystal Maiden to be the rotator into that middle lane.
Yeah, it's just hard for him to leave because the Earthshaker doesn't really fear the Dazzle. He fears the Crystal Maiden. So if the Crystal Maiden just rotates down, then the Earthshaker knows that he can play pretty aggressively. And meanwhile, at bottom, I mean, Skylark just continues to push out the wave, and both supports are headed for him. But he should be alright because the Anti-Mage isn't there, most importantly.
Yeah, they are going to try to do as much damage. Actually, they are going to bring him pretty low, but not quite. Oh, there it is! The last right click actually finished him off. I really thought he was going to live through that last one, and Spartan would heal him up ahead of the Malediction, but no can do. And they end up getting the first blood there between the Disruptor and the Witch Doctor. Rather surprising. Looks like they are going to keep Spartan down here. I was wondering if they can do dual lanes, essentially. So the Crystal Maiden trying to zone out the Earthshaker as much as possible, and the Dazzle giving the Darkseer the capabilities to push forward aggressively against NiP in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and here's one of the issues as Crystal Maiden as a harasser. aggressor, typically you don't really want her to be the one-to-one zoning the offlaner, because look at her move speed, 280. It means that the Earthshaker can typically catch up, right-click you back as you right-click him, and that's kind of an issue because you want to be able to maneuver in and out as a ranged hero against a melee. Like, you want to be able to right-click as he comes in, have enough time to get away, but a Crystal Maiden doesn't have time to do that, and so you'll notice that when she does go for the right-click trades against the Earthshaker, she's usually not successful. And at bottom, I want to highlight, I mean, Seal Kid going for the Malediction early on, that was the play. Like, that was what got them the first blood, I feel.
It absolutely was. Seal Kid continuing to zone out Skylark, who only has his level 2. Meanwhile, Dazzle running into Hanskin here with the no poison touch. It means Hanskin isn't too afraid of this Dazzle, but not going to try and man fight on their side of the map anyway. So it looks like Ninjas of Pyjamas are pretty happy with the way this is going. Their offlaner, in Yoda Savant essentially being in the safe lane, is getting a lot more than this Darkseer. In fact, he's almost double the level of the Darkseer at this point in time. The Queen of Pain seems to be doing quite well in the middle lane, 19-9 compared to the 15-4 on the TA. So all things considered, Ninjas of Pyjamas got to be pretty happy with the way the laning phase is going right now.
Yeah, and the Queen of Pain, this is a matchup she should win if she has a sentry, and all you need is really an early start. And that's the issue right now with TA, is that if she doesn't have a good start, it's a little bit difficult to snowball with her. Luckily, she has options. Like, you can go for the Deso build or the Phase Aquila and do the Ancients. Shout out to Waka. And doing Roshan is actually quite easy with this hero, and so you do have options, whereas before it kind of felt like she was only there for the laning phase, right? And if she didn't have one, it'd be hard.
Ooh, Skylark, oh no, the cask actually bounced back to him. He's going to run out of surge timing, and Skylark goes down a second time. Free kill for Era, as just the bad luck of that cask bouncing back to him ensured his demise.
Alright, Era's item set is really throwing me off. He's got, like,
in the middle lane, they're going to be able to catch out Dog. There is the TP in for the Dazzle, might be able to save Dog in time. The Shell Grave is going to come out the last second. They're going to try and turn and kill Limp first, but unfortunately, not enough damage there. And Dog, well, last little bit of heal is not going to be enough to deal with that damage over time, and he does end up falling. Very successful gank for NiP.
The Dazzle does come in, but unable to do anything is... I mean, the damage there is a little bit too high. They have a lot of different ways to break the refraction with the Thunder Strike on top of the Shadow Strike, and so it's a little bit difficult for him to survive through that. And I mean, life's going to be a little bit difficult for this Templar Assassin. Like, 19 CS is well behind schedule.
Madara forces Era back as the anti-mage. It looks like they're going to try and switch things up and put the Phantom Lancer back here in this defensive tri-lane. And I'm presuming put the Darkseer up at the top lane now. Of course, Ninjas of Pyjamas, they're not going to keep with that too long. Era already going up to the top lane. They don't want to have that Darkseer 1v1 against the Earthshaker, so they continue their tri-lane versus the off-lane situation as long as possible. But another potential gank here in the middle lane. Thug is going to be glimpsed back in a bad position, turns on refraction, tries to do as much damage to Limp as possible. You do have Seal Kid coming in from the side as well. Spartan is ready to go with the heals, as well as the Shallow Grave. Ninjas of Pyjamas rotate 4 heroes into this middle lane and don't actually find a kill for it.
The Earthshaker comes in as well, but Jonas and Fan unable to really do much. It's an Earthshaker against a Templar Assassin, but it's just the fact that you're putting a lot of pressure on her. 24 CS at 6 minutes. I think that's like 10 CS behind where a Templar Assassin wants to be, because it's... If you have like 10 more CS in this, you're almost at your phase boots. Like, if he doesn't have the death here, right?
Oh, Skylark runs right into the 2 supports. Now, looks like he should be able to get away from this one. The Maledict is going to take him down. Okay, he used the health potion just to make sure he will survive, and it actually brings him quite low, so seems like the health potion was a necessity here. But as you said, the Templar Assassin does have ways back into this game, even if the laning phase doesn't go stellar. As you can see, there is a hard camp stack ready to go for him.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised about this mid-ward that they placed, because they have to anticipate that a sentry's going to be there, if not just for the traps from the Templar Assassin. And so I think it would have been a better idea to just kind of place it away from that mid lane, because yes, you want vision for when the Witch Doctor and the Disruptor comes in. Like, if you're a mid-hero, you always want, against a Disruptor, that mid-hill ward, to see what to spot when he comes in, for when he does stuff like, for example, if you TP into the mid lane and he glimpses you, or if he's going to initiate from that... I mean, he can initiate from so far away, right? It's a Disruptor.
Right. Especially with the level 2 glimpse, that is now up. Madara still getting some free farm in this bottom lane, but Yona some fun, even if he's not getting, is able to sit forward. In fact, you can see exactly why he's sitting so far back constantly. There is a TP in, so they will not try and go for the gank here. Crystal Maiden not blocked out by the Fisher. So there is the save of the Witch Doctor TP to make sure the Earthshaker survives, but no counterplay.
Oh, and Limp manages to get the...
Oh,
and he
he just disappears! The double nukes out from Lick. Catch out the Templar Assassin before the refraction.
That was actually so smart by him. He knows the TA isn't just going to use a refract down there, so he blows both at once, so she has no time to react. Beautiful play by Limp. That was such a gamble, because if she does use the refract, you've just used your ultimate and half your mana, right?
Yep, and had that completely mitigated, at which point you're going to be in a bad position for the next minute and a half, but pays off big time, 0-4. Ninjas and Pyjamas taking a commanding lead here in this first game.
And that's so significant for the mid laner to be able to solo kill the other mid laner. You're seeing the effects of that right now as the TA is only level 7 as the Queen of Pain creeps closer to level 9 already. And, I mean, this is a matchup that is going to be difficult for the Templar Assassin, but this is making it even harder for her to come back.
Well, they do get the tower at the bottom lane without much of a fuss. I thought perhaps the Earthshaker picking up his level 6 would mean there's rotations from NiP, but the supports can't really rotate to fight that necessarily. Animage just wants to continue to farm. The only hero who would rotate would be our Queen of Pain, and she already used that Sonic Wave, so not much help there. Instead, they're going to try and take the tier 1 tower at the top lane, where you can see Seal Kid and Era already aggressively pushing forward, allowing the creeps to do the damage to the tower, and cutting those creeps as early as possible. Skanks moving very far forward here. Is quickly going to die here. Not entirely sure about that one. The TPs do come in. Madara's going to go for Seal Kid, but there's the glimpse back. Already caught him, and unfortunately, that doppelgang is not going to be able to save you from that. Limp just make sure that his supports will survive, making a rotation over from that middle lane, and seems like a rather ill-timed aggression from the Crystal Maiden, expecting more TPs than there actually was.
She actually shouldn't expect any TPs right now, because the Templar Assassin is playing catch-up mode. If Thug goes there and they don't have a successful fight, then his game, as he knows it, is pretty much over. And he should, I mean, he TP'd into the two heroes that were showing themselves, so I don't know if that was the best move, but something I would like to point out is this ward that Hans can place at this top lane. If you're playing Disruptor and you want to get aggressive, which is what you want to do because of the glimpse ability, you always want to place it behind the tower so that you have opportunities to A, send somebody back as they come in, or B, just isolate somebody when they try to run away from you.
Skylark still level 5 as our Darkseer is going to be working his way towards the mech most likely with that headdress, but it's going to be a long road of recovery, and that makes 2 heroes, Templar Assassin as well as Darkseer. Madara is still doing alright in last hits. He's sitting 86 and 21. He is the silver lining for London Conspiracy, as he so often is, but this is turning into a situation like we saw from their last game against Evil Geniuses, where EG were taking a bit of a commanding lead by about that 20-minute marker. But we'll see whether or not London Conspiracy can pull out the mid-game moves to provide an upset in what is already quite the lead for NiP.
Yeah, they're going to need to, because NiP, this game, they have so many ways to deal with the Phantom Lancer. They've got the Earthshaker, who's one of the more natural counters. They've got the Anti-Mage, who will naturally build in the cleave. They've got a Witch Doctor and a Disruptor, which are both supports that work really well against heroes like the Phantom Lancer because the AoE. And then you've got the Queen of Pain as a mid-hero. Yeah, I don't agree with Sumail's decision to go for the Dig on 5, but it is still a strong hero against the Phantom Lancer.
Alright, clearing through those ancient stacks, we've got Skylark trying to get whatever CS he can find, bouncing from jungle into whatever lane is open at the time. He does have now his Buckler. No boots built on the Darkseer, one of the few heroes that can afford to go that, pretty much him and the Weaver. The only 2 heroes out there that just completely avoid boots. Meanwhile, you've got this nice big stack that Hanskin is building more and more for Era to be able to farm up, and he will be able to farm it up quite soon. That Battle Fury is on its way.
Yeah, if the pace of this game just kind of continues to slow down and peter out, it is going to benefit NiP because they are doing things like this. They're stacking out farm for both Limp and Era, who's rapidly approaching his Battle Fury at a really reasonable timing. Like, that's going to be a 13-minute Battle Fury plus strats, which is I think like about the time that you want it. It's like near perfect.
If you go like my standard timing is like if you're going naked Battle Fury, like just regular boots and then straight Battle Fury, you want it by 13 minutes. So it's like the average timing. But most anti-mages don't go for that route. They usually go for treads and maybe some other smaller stat items. So their average Battle Fury timing is more like 15 minutes. I think it's like 15:30 or something like that. So to have it by 13 minutes is well ahead of the average. It goes to show how well Era is farming.
Yeah, so he's just going to completely farm out the jungle because he realizes that it's really hard for the London Conspiracy to kind of invade that area right now, and they are smoked up in this bottom lane. I think they anticipate somebody trying to come down for Madara, but NiP don't really have to if they don't want to, but they are going to go for a 4-man smoke right now, and this mid tower is getting beat down by the creeps, but nobody else, and they actually know that Thug is there with the ward that still exists from when they took down the tier 1, and it looks like they're going to completely wrap around and try to go for him right here.
Yeah, poor Thug. He does have a haste rune, but against a glimpse, it's unlikely to work out to his favor. But we'll see. It's if NiP want to make that dive, they're going to have to come in through the side, which may give Thug the opportunity. Man, he just keeps on bouncing around these smoke gangs with just a bit of luck in positioning, essentially, as he goes back to farm up neutrals.
Yeah, so Thug just continues to farm out. NiP are unsuccessful with their smoking, but they should be okay with that, as bottom Limp is going to be the target.
That frostbite almost there. Unfortunately, with only brown boots, the Crystal Maiden just couldn't quite close the gap there in order to get off that frostbite. If they had, it could have been a quick kill on that Queen of Pain, which would have been a critical pick-off for London Conspiracy. Would have actually gotten them on the scoreboard as 14 minutes in, and they have yet to find a kill.
And Madara just continues to blink away at this bottom tower, as Limp is the only one defending right now, as Jonas and Fan just continues to farm out this mid lane, and Hanskin TP's down, and it looks like they do want to get into a fight as Seal Kid's coming in from the right as well.
But can they actually defend it in time? Limp, if necessary, can force them back with a Sonic Wave, and the tower is in deny range, so it looks like London Conspiracy is just going to give up on it, or at least I thought so. And now, thinking about going back in, but it's too late. Tower already down, so they do get that tier 2 tower, but it's at the cost of a deny, a heavy amount of gold being lost there.
Opts to go for the Blink Dagger, so they do want to get
there's the surge. This will give you the movement speed you need. They're able to get the frostbite. The lance goes out, but it's still not there in time. Even if it did hit him, Queen of Pain just had barely enough stats to be able to survive through it anyway. So, unfortunately, the lack of disables, as you pointed out very early on into the draft, is going to bite London Conspiracy heavily in the ass at this point.
And that was a pretty significant investment of time, and I'm a little bit surprised that Skinks decided to go for the 3 levels of Crystal Nova. It is a better teamfight build, but against heroes like the Anti-Mage and the Queen of Pain, if you lack disables, you're not going to get a Hex or anything anytime soon on your lineup. I think you do need more levels of the Frostbite. You have to prioritize it to at least level 3 to be able to do anything. Like a 1.5 second disable against a 1k HP hero, typically that's not going to be enough to be able to kill him.
Now, we do have Madara here, who is in a questionable position with his double damage. He's going to be running into Hanskin, but already locked down. The news come out. Madara is going to be burst down nice and quick on the left-hand side. Seal Kid does go down. Madara barely survives for a little bit longer. Doppelganger to the side. Oh, but there's the screen. Limp finishes him off. And now you have Era, who's going to enter the fight. Oh, there goes an Echo Slam from Jonas Safan, able to lock down that Crystal Maiden. Era still looking for more now as he finished up one support and wants to be able to get that offlaner as well. Limp helps him get the kill. Looks like it's going to be wiped potentially. Thug gets away with his Blink Dagger, but still the fixture is there to be able to lock him down. And the last couple of right clicks and the Mana Void goes off, almost enough to finish him off, but there it is. Counter vision laid down by Hanskin, and a full wipe there on London Conspiracy. NiP looking very healthy here in this game 1.
It was just such an awkward position for Madara to be in. And once your carry is at like 1% HP and has to run away, there's no real way for them to fight. But if you're playing against a Disruptor and an Earthshaker, there's no way that you're ever going to get out. Like, you pretty much have to hard commit to that fight. And I think LC knew that, but they were trying to pressure down that tier 1 and maybe try to get something going with that DD rune. They're just a little bit too far behind from the laning phase on the Gecko. And you notice that Era is already so farmed. He has a full Vlad's. He's farming up a full, I think that's a 4 stack with the Battle Fury, and this is going to mean his Yasha at 16 minutes.
This is unbelievably fast. Right now, he's hit the 10,000 mark by 17 minutes. He's sitting at 615 gold per minute, and this is only going to skyrocket more and more as his farming proficiency with that Battle Fury is going to increase with the Yasha. Skank's going to be picked off here by the Clips. They do have still the Shallow Grave to be able to save him. They're going to throw it down in a second here. Never mind. There goes that Static Storm from Hanskin. perfectly placed to intercept the healer. Dazzle unable to do anything to save his fellow support.
And that's a level 13 anti-mage right now. Is I mean, things just continue to get a little bit more miserable for London Conspiracy as this anti-mage just continues to farm, and that's not even to mention what this Queen of Pain has, a 17-minute Orchid, which is a pretty good timing. And they're actually going to find
Hanskin in deep for kills into that tier 1 tower. They pick off Hanskin and go straight for the back door of this tier 1 tower. I mean, you got to do something kind of crazy to make a comeback in this game, as it is 2-11 right now. But diving into the tier 1 tower, we'll see whether or not that's a wise choice here. To bring the tower quite low, the blink forward, Jonas Safan managed to get the stun onto Thug. Era is on the other side of these two heroes at the same time. The right side, Spartan, Cask, just barely gets ahead of that one and will be able to survive through the Orchid and Shadow Strike. Skanks now dealing with Era, does have the Frostbite to be able to control him a bit longer, and Era is going to hold on to his blink for a defensive jump away.
And this is a fairly significant issue. If Era's able to dive this far in, pretty much with impunity, and he's not very afraid, and I really like the way that he's built his hero. Typically you'll see the 1-1-1, but he's opted to go for the max blink, and I think this is the right decision against a team that only has one disable. Like, the only way they're going to catch up to you then is by slows, and by maxing the blink you sort of negate that.
And with the soon-to-be Manta picked up on the Animage, this gives him even more survivability with that Manta Dispel. It's going to be rough times for London Conspiracy soon, but oh, jump in, double Ico save, already finished off the Crystal Maiden, and the Dazzle with the Sonic Wave over the top, bye-bye Darkseer. Quick 3 kills going the way of Ninjas and Pyjamas.
And Ninjas and Pyjamas are just playing such a clean, crisp game. This is the type of Dota that we want to see from them. I think it was, I can't remember who I was talking to, but he said if Ninjas and Pyjamas get off to this kind of start where they sort of roll early and they have that sort of snowball lineup, it just feels so hard to stop them. And their weakness sometimes is, you know, if their initial strategy doesn't work in the first 20 minutes, they do tend to falter. But I mean, this game 14-2 already, and they haven't even taken Roche yet.
There is the Defusal now picked up for Madara. Gotta look on the bright side, I suppose, for London Conspiracy. This poor Phantom Lancer sitting at 8k behind both the Queen of Pain, who's at 8k as well, but most notably, the Animage, who's about to hit that 13k marker. A gigantic difference between these two carries.
Yeah, and Limp continuing to farm out the enemy jungle, and good idea by him because he just wants to limit the amount of farm that the Phantom Lancer can have. And I think what the PL is going to do is try to push out this top wave and just abuse these two jungle camps right here, as NiP don't have any vision. They know that NiP are typically going to set up vision around this area, the Roche pit, because that's your next objective, right? And that's typically where you're going to ward.
You can see Era already feels confident enough to be able to do that one solo at this point. Sure, he's going to be joined by some allies in a second here. London Conspiracy not going to be able to contest them, even if they do know what's going on. Instead, looking to be able to get the trade off the farm, taking that tier 1 tower in the top lane.
This is a good move by London Conspiracy because they know they just have to trade the Roshan. It's better than losing a tower, right? So you might as well. There's no way that you're going to be able to contest in that pit. I guess the one good thing is that sometimes Roshan does make teams a little bit too over-aggressive, and that could potentially play into London Conspiracy's hands. Like, once you have the Aegis, you're like, oh, I'm invincible, and then you get caught out in a weird position. But once Era has a Manta style, I'm not quite sure how they're going to be able to bring him down twice.
Yeah, how are they ever going to be able to lock him down for that long? Desolator is coming in for the Templar Assassin here pretty soon. If they can take down this tier 2 tower, they might be able to pick it up, but it seems so unlikely. Ninjas and Pyjamas not going to give up anything for free. Era already there for the defense. They're going to turn around, throw out a lance. Era dropping a little bit lower here. What is Madara? Pulled back into the Static Storm. Era almost going down there, but able to make the jump away. Huge Sonic Wave hits on 3. Limp trying to finish off these heroes. Thug makes the turnaround, but Limp with the haste roll will be able to get away. Meanwhile, Era's cleaning up heroes left and right. Jonas Safan looks to be able to throw out a Fisher in a second. Throws it around, turns around. Nice pick up there. Hitting 3. Will be able to lock down Thug even further. Spartan's going to go down to the side. Another wipe as Ninjas and Pyjamas not making any mistakes here in this first game.
19-2 right now, as that's a 4-for-0 trade, actually a 5-for-0 trade. I don't even know if you call that a trade because you didn't really lose anything. The Aegis doesn't even go down on Era, and it's just the amount of farm that's such a huge difference here, as there aren't a lot of options for LC because they have to somehow go for some sort of split push and they have to play a little bit risky to get back into this game, but it's just the advantage that NiP have built with the early game, with the aggression that they have, and Aegis as well. I mean, if LC were able to take down the anti-mage with Aegis, you'd have a fresh anti-mage with no disables left over.
2 to 19 right now. Do I dare look at that net worth graph? I think we have to. Jeez, 15,000 by 22 minutes. Over 15,000 experience lead as well. You've got some big items that are going to be coming the way of Ninjas and Pyjamas in a short period of time. You've got 2,100 gold on our Disruptor, so we could easily pick up a very early Aghanim Scepter. At this rate, Era could be completely 6-slotted by 30-35 minutes. Jonas Safan, already with the Blink Dagger and the Force Staff, can look towards some of those luxury items that you don't always see on an Earthshaker.
And NiP continue to do everything right as they managed to place a sentry on the ancient side of London Conspiracy. They want 0 options for LC. They only want the Phantom Lancer to be able to farm one lane or the jungle. Denying him the ancients is a pretty significant thing because where is the Templar Assassin going to get farmed? And she's going to go for the Desolator, and I think this is the right choice because you just need cheap items at this point. Like, you need to be in fighting shape sooner than later.
And maybe that burst damage coming into play will surprise the NMH at some point, and they can kill him without the need of the heavy amount of disables that is usually warranted. London Conspiracy, this is an interesting attempt here. Quelling Blade, Doppelganger right onto Hanskin, gonna try and burst him down immediately. Static Storm gets laid out, but they'll still get the kills thanks to the illusions. The question is, can Madara actually get away here? Jonas Safan comes in, Fisher, Holton, Madara a little bit longer. He's got 3 more seconds, so the Doppelganger is out. Jonas Safan realizes he does not want to be here, and Era unable to stop either one of these TPs in time. So, clean gank, I suppose. They do manage to finish off the Disruptor without losing anybody, but at the same time, it is just a Disruptor.
Yeah, but you're just trying to buy time for as long as possible because the Phantom Lancer, if he does get 6-slotted, there is an option for them to come back, LC. Like, they do have the Darkseer as well, which, you know, if the enemy scales, you get stronger. So, their problem right now, though, is that Era just continues to be a monster. He almost has a fully completed Butterfly on top of what he has at the 24-minute mark right now, and once he completes that, I think that high ground is possible for them. Oh, and he actually found the CM.
Skank's gonna be found here is immediately the Manta Dispel to the Frostbite is what we were talking about earlier. Allows Era to easily get that 1 kill to blink away from our Templar Assassin. Will make sure she stays ahead of Era. Middle lane, it's gonna be going down to Madara, or potentially Hanskin's actually coming in trying to get the glimpse play. Can he find the right one here? Does get it, that's the play. Locks him in with the kinetic field. Jonas Safan able to sunlock Madara. Echo Slam gets laid out. Madara, nothing he can do. The silence is just enough. He actually gets a Doppelganger to the side here, and Hanskin is now going to be in a bit of trouble. Blinks away to his side. Era coming in, and there's the Enchant Totem to finish him off. So Madara not making it out of this one. Meanwhile, they did also have the Dazzle cleaned up by our Queen of Pain in the middle lane.
Yeah, and the score is now 3-22 as the game just gets a little bit more difficult, and at the bottom, Skylark's going to be the target. Is there any response? Hanskin blinks in. He should be able to catch him with the glimpse.
And they can just right-click him down. They also have that Nina Void that is still available for Era. He's just found kills without needing to use that ultimate time and time again.
See how professional I was there? Yeah, I could have made a joke, but I didn't.
Yeah, but you did have to point it out.
Alright, Limp is just going so aggressive.
Orchid? Nope, he managed to survive the Era. It's going to be frostbitten up, pops the Manta, quickly clears through the creep wave. That's how you know you're in pretty good control. When 25 minutes in, you're caught underneath the tier 3 tower and you take the time to farm up the creeps first.
Yeah, and Era's going to push down this tower, and with that, that's the last tier 2 tower that did remain for London Conspiracy. The Aegis has faded on Era, though, and I think the play then, if you want to be absolutely certain that you're not going to lose this game, you just wait for the next Roshan. Like, you can farm out the entire map 3 times if you want, and then just go for the Roshan when it spawns in the next 5 minutes, and you can absolutely secure yourself the win. And I know people that are like, okay, this game might be over. You don't want to give London Conspiracy anything.
Right.
Because if you mess up one more fight, it actually takes longer to end the game at that point. So I think that the anti-mage just waits out the Aegis, and that's the play. But London Conspiracy, they're not actually just fit to sit in their base and wait for this game to be over as they go for a 5-man smoke.
They do know the Aegis is down, which is an opportune time for them to go for this aggressive smoke gank. Fortunately, Era did pop some of those smokes. And London Conspiracy now going to be running into Jonas event. Quick blink away. And London Conspiracy don't find anything for that costly smoke.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant investment. That's a 5-man smoke. They are going to farm out this top lane for a little bit more and just immediately run back to their base, I imagine, because there's not much to do. What NiP right now are doing is just pushing out, farming out every single avenue that they can. Era in his own jungle, Limps in theirs. Or it's the other way around. And Madara at top, he's going to be the target. He does have a defusal.
Madara trying to go for the blink away. There's the Echo Slam to lock him down. Madara caught once again as Limp and JoinDOTA MLG team up to take out that pesky carry of London Conspiracy. Notice also Limp, the one bit of disabled that they have to be able to control these heroes is Frostbite, and now you've got 2 of the 3 cores have Manta.
Yeah, I think it was Chessie that actually told me about this build on Queen of Pain. He was like, think about it, because you can dodge so many projectiles at bottom.
Yeah, Skylark gets in trouble, is going to be quickly cleaned up by Era. It seems if necessary to pop the ultimate, which almost brings Skanks down at the same time. Went from full HP to about a quarter left there as they continue to pressure in that bottom lane as well as top. Limp using that Manta to great split pushing success here.
Yeah, so it was Chessie that told me, he's like, Manta on Queen of Pain is fantastic. It allows you to dodge, projectile dodge most abilities, and I mean, it gives you 2 options for being able to escape, right? It's not like going for a 4-staff or a Yules, it's a more offensive version of that essentially, and I like the pickup, because if you think about LC, what are they going to do now to both the Queen of Pain and the Anti-Mage?
Yep, I completely agree, and this will actually allow the Queen of Pain to go for maybe some of those, like, it's not very often that you see it, but like some of the right-click builds on Queen of Pain from this Manta, you can actually go into some additional right-click items and be a very good force in that regard. Tier 3 tower did go down already. Ninjas and Pyjamas not going to take any chances though. Quickly backing up to continue to farm their way to victory here as they are approaching the next Roshan timer.
Yeah, the DD is there as well. The Anti-Mage should be able to grab that. Actually, it can go on Limp as well. He does have a bottle. No, he should give this to Era. He's going to bottle this up, and I think he's just going to give the Aegis to Limp in that case. I don't actually think... I think Era should have it. But I don't really see how he's going to die with the amount of farm that he has either.
Yeah. Oh, at this point, I'd be content to give it to someone like JoinDOTA MLG, just because I'm not sure how the Queen of Pain or the Anti-Mage ever die.
Secure the lives. That's for certain. As I mean, LC are doing the correct thing right now. They are moving together as 5. They're just trying to bait 1 or 2 heroes and hope that they can split up NiP, but NiP aren't really falling for it. Just continuing to farm out the entire map as their net worth lead just continues to grow. Now it's 25,000 in net worth and 30,000 in experience right now.
Yeah, pretty insane. I'm not sure how many instances a team has come back from that big of a net worth lead. It's probably only 1 in a million. Era going to be taking another tier 3 tower here and quickly backing up. Feels like Era's just playing for the gold per minute game. He's sitting at 818. Like, he literally, the only time he pushes is when he's able to get a significant amount of gold out of it. AKA, he takes the tier 3 and backs himself away.
Yeah, he's playing really safe Dota right now, and it's a good idea for them to go for the split push game, as they have to kind of force London Conspiracy to give up something, and they do manage to take down the mid tier 3 as well as the bottom one, and NiP, they don't have to really stick together as 5 because it takes just so much of an investment to be able to kill Era. And I don't even know if they can if they wanted to. Is he's going to pick up a heart, I'd imagine, or even go for an Abyssal Blade if he's feeling really cheeky.
The heart would basically ensure that he's completely unkillable. Of course, the Abyssal Blade is that tremendous amount of lockdown that would be able to take out certain heroes like Phantom Hunter and Darkseer. Despite their heavy amount of mobility, so you can see Skylark's already going to be in some trouble here. He's going to be forced to use the Surge sometime here, but then he'll be able to have the response. Oh, Vacuum actually getting laid out. Instead, Skylark, he's got no way out of this one, and I think he realizes it. Instead, he goes down bottom lane. They do get a pick off there. Earthshaker manages to get Madara, and is now going to be gone up, but never mind. Crystal Maid going to be caught by the Fissure, plus the Queen of Pain is now joined them. Crystal Maid drops the ultimate, but quickly orchid it up, and now Doug is even caught in the kinetic field. Quick blink away, but it's Spartan who's going to go down instead as Limp blinks forward. Doug now going to be caught potentially. They do have glimpse up, but never mind. Good game. Well played. A very clean victory going away of Ninjas and Pyjamas in this first game in a best of 3.
Yeah, absolutely dominant by them, as they only dropped 3 kills total that entire game. Just a clean, crisp performance by them, and that's what I thought would kind of happen, because it just felt like their lineup was a little bit more well-balanced around it. But I don't want to take away too much from our analysts that we do have here.
Of course, so let's go ahead and pass it off to our analysts, Zoe, Nahaz, and I believe Toby, with all his expert knowledge that he has.
6K MMR caster Toby Bond.